So earthen building is something is very simple and very easy, but many people who never do it, you start to think, oh, look at the brick, it's so heavy, I cannot do that, too much, too hard, or something like that. But actually, it's easier than you think, a lot easier when you start to do it a little bit. And then what we need to know a little bit about earthen building is it's quite different from normal building, many ways. The first thing is wall bearing system. It's not post and beam system. There's many things that against our belief. Like many people, most of us, we grew up with post and beam system. We always think if there's no pillars, it's not strong. It's nothing to hold the roof. But actually, without the pillars, make earthen building stronger. But if you put the pillars in the wall, that make the house weaker. Because wall bearing system is like the weight is spreading out around the whole house evenly. But if you have the pillars blocked in the middle of the wall, cannot spread the weight to the next side. It's like a piece of plywood standing like this. It can fall anytime easily. That's why earthen building is so good when they have earthquake. It will not collapse easily. So because it's spreading weight and then hold each other. And one thing is the soil that we use to build, we never bake it. Anything that process or pass some, we use a lot of heat. It start to have edge. Yeah, but soil that we use, we never bake it, so there's no edge. It lasts many thousand years. So that's the different thing. For example, like a cement. Cement is you use limestone to burn more than 1,000 Celsius to make cement. So it turns to ash. The ash is cement or lime, but lime is they use lower heat than that. So when we start to use cement, you start to count the edge. The first year, second year, third year. 40 years ago, they average the age of concrete house about 80 years. After 80 years, it start to deteriorate very slow. It crumble later. But later on, they start to young. Later on, they start to develop cement more. They make the edge of cement shrink more. Now, the average of concrete house is about 50 years. Because we develop it too much. Anything, if we develop it, it will be shorter life. Like a computer, cell phone, anything. If we do it very fancy, it less life span. So, earthen building, we did not break it. We did not do any process with it. That's why it lasts so long. The oldest one is almost 2,000 years old. And then earthen building is good in most of the condition in the world. It's good in the fire, in the wind, in the storm, in the rain. No problem with rain. Only one problem is flood. So if we can avoid flood, your house lasts so long. So it's good to think about to build earthen house in an area that's very high. If it's low, make a big mound of dirt, and then you can dig a pond and use the dirt from the pond to make a mound of dirt and build a house on top of it, something like that. So, and then another thing is against our thinking quite a lot is normal building. We use the hardness or the strength of the material for building the house, like a hardwood. We use cement, we use iron or something like metal. But soil is not about that. It's totally opposite. The dirt that we have here, we can break it by hand easily. But when we add the dirt in the water and then knead it very well, and then let it dry, and after that you cannot break it by hand anymore, even it's the same material. That's because of the vacuum system. Every grain of sand, when we bind together, and then when we add water in there, if water will push the air out, there's no air inside, and then the clay will block the air to get inside. So after the water evaporates, it sucks each other very strong. So this is what we use to build earthen house. That normally people do not think about it much. So that's the different thing. So many times the soil that we use may be different, but when we build into the wall, it's very similar. It can carry a lot of weight. Small building, we can add like a 10 by 10 meters, 10 by 10 meters building. We usually add 7 tons of earth, of dirt, of soil on top of the roof. It carry a lot more, way more than normal concrete house can carry it, because it's wall bearing system also. So, how to build earthen house? The first thing is just think about where to build the house first. When we select the area to build the house, the first thing we need to think about is flooding or not that area. Think about flood is the most important thing. And then after you get the spot to build, the second thing is design. I think the best person who can design the house is the owner of the house, not architect. Because you live in that house, you just ask yourself what you need, and then you know exactly what you want. And then you just build it in the way that you want it. It belongs to your house. So that's the best. Right? And then how to design the building. You can design anywhere, anything, because earthen building can do anything like a concrete house. Or even more than concrete house too. So it's up to you. How do you want to design? You can do whatever. And after that, it's about prepare the location, like when we flatten the land and then we mark the area, and then we can make a foundation. Normally we make foundation above the ground. It's opposite way of thinking of normal people. Because normally when we think about foundation, we always dig underground and pour a lot of concrete in there. But earthen house is opposite way, because we make the foundation just to prevent termites and water. That's the main thing, not for the strength of the house. So we always build the foundation above the ground, on top of the ground, not under the ground. Because if you build under the ground, you cannot prevent termites. Termite is the main problem in Thailand and in many countries. So the way that we make the foundation, mainly we don't want to spend a lot of money and we lazy to work too much. So we use brick as a form. So many people use a metal form, use a wood form like that. When you work with it, you need to move it out, move it in, too much work. We don't like that. So we use brick stack like this. It can go square or go around, go whatever you like to. And then just fill up with cement in there. And if we don't want to spend a lot of money, we can add a lot of rock in there or broken concrete. Add in there and pour cement on top of it. But if you want to spend more money, if you have too much, you can buy rebar. You can add rebar. Or you can use bamboo, you use whatever you want to. But it's not necessary. Because it's wall bearing system. Wall bearing system is different from post and beam system a little bit, like one house. If the weight on top, 1 ton. And then if it's post and beam, you have 10 pillars. 1 ton you divide into 10 pillars. Each pillar will carry 100 kilograms. So the weight in pressing on one spot 100 kilograms. That's why it can cause cracking and sinking in some spot. That's why they need to dig very deep and pour the concrete underground to connect all the pillars together. But for earthen house, it's wall bearing system. 1 ton on top, you divide on top of the wall, every square foot around the wall. So in each square foot, you maybe carry less than 10 kilograms from 1 ton. So it's not a lot of weight pressing down.